Welcome back, Internet, to another episode of Makers on Tap. You know what episode this is, guys?
Yeah, we are getting very close to a huge milestone for us.
It's 90.
We are officially 10x past the podcast statistic of failure. It's one of those, like, how you determine failure, right? Because, we keep doing it, but that doesn't mean we're successful. I don't know.
We're stubborn. That's what we are.
What'd you say, Aaron?
I said take that, statistical averages.
Yeah. Jerk.
No, we have like, well, shoot, we have a whole bunch of stuff that I really want to talk about, and I'd really love to get the audience feedback on. Are we allowed to talk about the project that we are slated to head in June?
No.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
No.
Right, man.
And none of you guys know what's going on in June, so we're gonna keep on going. Yeah, nothing's official, so yeah, I would take all of that with a grain of salt.
Okay. Okay. If that project has a chance of happening, I am really excited for it. And I will want to talk to the community about it before it happens.
Oh, absolutely.
They will also have a huge point or huge part in it, and that will be very exciting.
Yeah, I guess that means we have to do the podcast until June now, if that happens.
Oh, for sure.
Quitting before then.
We got something coming up next month.
Oh yeah.
We're doing VertCom 2021.
We're doing what con?
VertCom. Presented by the Cyberdeck Cafe.
VertCon or VirtueCon?
It says VertCon.
Okay. I love you guys. Where the hell has this communication been?
I added you to the Discord the day we got committed, and you joined it, and you were like, "Hey."
Yeah, and that's it. I didn't know we were getting slated to being in a virtual convention.
I'm gonna take this moment to agree with you, because I hadn't heard anything since then until they posted on Twitter a couple days ago. Yeah. And they tagged us and Zach Friedman, and they're like, "Hey, we've got Makers on Tap, and Zach Friedman has slated guests." And I think me and Zach at the same time were probably like, "Oh, that's still happening. Okay."
Like, don't get me wrong. I've loved being in that Discord just kind of as a lurker and just seeing the awesome things that people work on. Like, it's a very like laying in bed.
This is the Cyberdeck Discord, by the way, guys.
Yes. Getting to just kind of scroll through people's progress on projects. And it's very like, like I could do this. I could do something fun like this and just kind of do something cool. So it's been a very fun place to be in for that.
Well, just the other day on Twitter, Brendan Builds on Twitter posted a Fusion 360 macro keyboard that he's been working on. It's kind of Cyberdeck-ish. It never even crossed my mind that I could print the frame for a keyboard. This whole time I'm like, I would have to do a PCB and build a machined frame. I could print a frame for a key. I have a keyboard factory behind me. I can solder switches.
I mean,
I'm so jazzed about this possibility. I'm really annoyed. I have so many projects on my plate right now. I just want a CNC control keyboard.
I hear soldering keyboards is a lot of soldering.
Oh yeah.
I've
heard it's a big pain, but I'm surprised that you first went to 3D print and not to cutting out of wood. Like a wood frame keyboard, it seems right up your alley.
Like, in my head though, I've always thought that, like, I would have to plug the keys into a PCB of some sort. And like figuring that out, it's beyond me.
Fair
For the
enough.
moment. And then I saw Brendan's keyboard and I did a little bit of Googling and I'm like, oh no, I can just solder all these. I can do a mess of solder wires. That's not beyond me at all. So I haven't gone as far as like ordering switches yet, but I have started drawing out the layout that I want. It's like, this is actually day job work too. So like I can feed my day job, or I could feed a passion project with my day job, and everybody's happy with that because I'll just do a better job if I have a passion project at work. So yeah.
No, fair enough. That absolutely makes sense. So what do you guys been up to? Like we've been mainly me. I've been working some insane hours, and so I have not been able to do a whole lot of fun stuff. So I would love to hear what's been currently on your guys' plates.
Yeah. I've had a lot of really boring trainings at work this week. So in between, having to pay attention to people talk, I've been working on the ESP32 variant of the access control system. And I put it off for a little bit because I was running into some issues because I'm using the Weekend protocol, which is like a industry standard RFID communications protocol. And I was getting some weird issues with the library I was using, which is a popular Arduino library. And I was getting like random bits at the end. So the card numbers would never match, or like 1 out of every 20 reads would just fail.
Okay.
And pretty, fun time going through our Discord channel and asking some of the more electrical savvy people for some guidance on how to debug it.
Right.
Because I couldn't tell, because I know the ESP32 has had some like Wi-Fi radio interference issues with some sensors. So I've dealt with that in the past. I also have a AC to DC power supply right on it. So I was curious if there was some EMI there, but after some thorough debugging, I was actually able to find out that the library was kind of written just to be generic between all Arduino boards, and it kind of worked for the ESP32, but I ended up having to do some optimizations for it. And I think I found a single logic check, probably just specific for the ESP, where the logic wasn't working correctly. And so it would it gets all 26 bits of the number that it's supposed to, but then it would stop halfway through because of this logic error check.
Okay.
Basically, every time it gets a pulse from one of the wires, it updates a timestamp saying like, hey, I got a pulse at this time. And basically the logic was checking, if we haven't gotten a pulse in 25 milliseconds, we're going to consider it done. And the issue was because of how the interrupts work on the ESP32. Even though the function that's running to check the logic has like interrupts paused, an interrupt fires 1 nanosecond or a microsecond like after the last weekend update. So when it goes to do the check, it subtracts the current, like the millis gives you the current millisecond runtime of the Arduino. It's taking millis minus the last weekend pulse time. And it was essentially taking, 0 minus 1. And so, with the unsigned integer, it loops it around. So it's getting like a 4 million, which of course is, higher than 25. So it thinks the communication is done. And it took me forever to figure that out. And so all I had to do was just do a simple check, a simple sanity check, basically just to make sure that the weekend time is larger than the millis time, to make sure we're not trying to, take 0 minus 1. And that works great. So when I was originally getting like, 1 read error every 10 reads or every 20 reads, I haven't gotten a single bad read yet. And I've done it 100 times. So I'm super pumped because that was like, that's like the foundation of the entire fucking system. So you
yeah.
You know what you should do is you should mount your card on the tool head of your 3D printer behind you and then mount the access control system on the bed, and then just like loop a Z move, and
Yeah, because I'm approaching all of this because I'm trying to make this like a side hustle. Like eventually, I'm hoping it would be like an actual side business.
mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I'm approaching it all. So as I'm developing this, I'm now at a point where I'm going to start integrating it to the AWS cloud, which is where all the real magic is going to happen. But these ESPs don't actually have like a hard. They don't have like a hard coded or like a burnt in unique identifier on them. I know the 8266s have something. These only have the MAC address on it, which isn't globally unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was doing some digging on the forums, and I'm gonna have to like do it myself. Like for each board that comes in, I have to like when I program it, I have to also burn a unique value into one of the registers or something.
That sounds like
that sounds terrible.
It does.
I was going to say it. I mean, it sounds like a pain, but it also sounds like a cool opportunity to come up with a unique way of addressing each one of those, and you get to figure out the unique way that you do it.
I mean, it's just to be a globally unique identifier, like a big old random string of gibberish.
I mean, fair, but like you get to decide how it becomes random, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
So that gets to be kind of a fun part, I guess.
I get to be unique within the Latchio system, this access control system. They just have to be unique devices in there. So what I was thinking, I mean, I could easily script it up, I believe, to where it would generate a GUID. It'll check a database, make sure I haven't already used it. And if not, then it'll go ahead and flash the ESP with the firmware and then burn the ID in there. I think that's how it would go. I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm starting to look into AWS's IoT system now. I wasn't going to use it, but I was going to use the basic API gateway stuff because that's what I do for work. But it's a little bit too much for these little boards, like security wise. If I want it to be secure,
yeah,
and I have to actually
do
an IoT system, which is kind of built for that. I just haven't used it, so I have to figure it out.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, the more I'm looking into it, though, like their IoT platform seems to be somewhat similar to PTC's ThingWorks, which is I actually have a year's worth of XP with that from a previous company. So hoping that translates a little bit.
Yeah, interesting. I'm glad that you were fighting that problem because I'm not sure I would have ever figured that out. Like,
I was real close to giving up. It's like I don't even know if I care this much anymore.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Joe, what have you been fighting this week?
A lot. So, earlier this week, last weekend, I got the large router back up and running since the move, and then promptly spent 2 days machining customer parts with it. It was good. Machined a ton of aluminum for one of our good friends, Joe, doing framing jigs for him, and then did some acrylic side panels for another one of our friends for one of his new printers, and it was really fun because I haven't actually machined aluminum or acrylic on that machine yet. And everything I've done on that machine actually has been for myself, and I tend to take more care when it comes to other people's parts than my own parts. So, the very first parts I did were the acrylic panels, and I pull them off and I measure them, and they're like way wrong, like way wrong, like over 3/8 of an inch. I was just like, well, this is terrible. That was like $100 in acrylic. What did I do wrong, and what could be wrong because these are like shaped right, and all the holes are circles, and these are rectangles. So like obviously I did something wrong at some point. We'll get to my mistake. But what it what it turned into was a 2-hour like fact check of my steps per millimeter, and that was wrong too, but not that wrong. That was wrong within like 10,000ths of an inch, and now it's dead nuts. At least as good as I can measure. The best nuts, yeah. At least as good as I can measure. I never checked it. I like got the machine running, and then I made a desk, and then the desk all fit together, because all the parts were made on the machine. And then I immediately went from making the desk to the milk crate, and the milk crate is built to just tolerate no end of slop and still go together right. And guess what? It did. It went together right, and the machine shit, and it. Even though all the axes on the machine that made it were wrong. So, yeah. But only like 10,000ths of an inch, which is really small, right? They're a 16th of an inch is 6 of those. So, what my actual problem was I rushed through the programming. For people listening at home, the programming of a part is never the part you rush. And I fat fingered value, and I programmed it for 1/4 inch end mills, and I cut it with 1/8 inch end mills. So everything was a 1/4 inch big on the outside and a 1/4 inch small on the inside. And then plus my axis error, and measuring it with a tape measure added up to me panicking because it looked like I was 3/8 of an inch off. But all the holes that I drilled in it were in roughly the right position because they were only 1/10 of an inch off. So, yeah. Luckily, I measured all of that before I went through and cut $100 in aluminum too. I experimented on the semi-cheap but much easier to replace parts. So, yeah, the router's running fucking awesome now, and I'm a lot more confident in it. Like, I was actually quite impressed with how good it did in aluminum. So,
no, fair enough.
Yeah. And do you guys have other? I had a whole week of progress. Like, actually, it's been 2 weeks since we recorded. I had like 2 weeks of working really damn hard of progress that people actually might care about a little bit. So I can keep talking, but you guys are welcome to go ahead. Chris, what have you been doing that wasn't work? How is your cosplay guild thing going?
I wish I had good news. Or any like not bad news.
Okay.
I wish I had like yeah.
it's like
way to bury the lead.
No, essentially just like that has been my life is all work. This week I am definitely back to work. When it comes to normal day-to-day life stuff, oh, you know what? I am excited to work on the Emblazer, but I have not been able to do that yet. Ran into an interesting issue that we think happened during transport. And it is very much slipping. And so that's going to be my first venture in trying to fix a laser issue.
That's an easy issue. I'm sure what happened is as it was traveling, it jumped a tooth on the belts, and you just need to retension the belts, which isn't hard.
Fair enough. I am a little intimidated, I'll be honest, since it is technically yours. So I don't want to do it wrong, but I am excited to do that. I just haven't been able to
do it wrong. Just saying, but
fair enough.
Is it on the Zen Blazer or the core?
Core.
I would say I broke his Emblazer already, so I think you're fine.
Oh yeah, that wasn't your fault. That was a rough day. Yeah, the cooling fan on the diode, make sure that's running. That should always be running. And if you start a job and it's not running, it will kill the diode rather quickly. The diode actually survived that. Like we ran a full cut job with no cooling on it at Geek Fest a couple of years ago, and yeah, the diode survived for quite a while actually after that. But yeah, it didn't survive that night. It took a while to cool back down and like be all right with life. So
Fair enough.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
I felt pretty bad that day, so I didn't forget.
I very much understand.
No, that's my only the only thing that I'm working on right now is like pulling insane hours and trying to fix the laser so we can make some cool stuff. We've got a cool project that we're working on, which is a home welcoming gift, and we're running through that, but we need the laser up and running in order to do it. So I'm planning, if I have enough time this week, to go to the office and actually start working on it. But yeah, that'll be fun.
Unfortunately, my laser is like the one machine I've put zero time into fixing since the move.
It definitely is going to need some love after moving around in the shop, especially when it like completely shifted the top and we had to like push it back into place. Like, yeah, there's definitely going to be some stuff out of alignment.
I remember. Yeah, and that's why I haven't done it, because I'm just like, well, that's going to suck. And it's going to take some time. And it's the only one that hasn't really had any call for. So, and the laser sort of works at the makerspace, so I can go use that one if I really need one. But
no, fair enough. I guess the only other thing that I have is we're kind of collaborating with you on another project. That'll be fun to do at some point. So we're redoing our dining room table in our house, and Joe is letting us use his big CNC to put some cool little engravings on it and like kind of give it a little bit of character. And so Laura is actually really wanting to learn more of that world and wanting to learn more about CNC and all those kind of cool things about it. And so they asked me if Joe would be willing to at least like talk them through the process so they could learn a little bit about it and actually potentially be able to do it in the future on another machine. So that's been kind of cool, is my partner is actually really interested in this stuff and not just pandering me when I talk about all of it.
Yeah, I totally forgot that Laura wanted to learn that part. So like this weekend I was like, oh, I've got everything. The router works. I'm just going to do it real quick. I'm really glad that you said like get with them about it, because I was just going to do it. Because it'll take like 10 minutes to do, and then it can just be done. I was very much on the like done roll this week, like just checking the boxes, getting it done, getting it out of the way, getting it off my mind. And so I've 2 more of those projects other than Laura's table, and then I can just focus on the other stuff for a little while.
I mean, I know they're more than willing. I think the only night next week, or the only 2 nights next week, are Tuesday and Thursday that they would not be able to make it out. But any other night, I think they are more than happy to come and learn from you for
it's just time. It's the time.
No, fair enough. And
it's easy to make the time disappear at night. It's really hard to make the time disappear when normal people want to like interact.
Dude, we're up till like 1 to 2 a.m. on the normal. Like,
yeah, but I have children.
Well, that's
and
fair.
like you guys are very fun. Like my kids, Chris and Laura are some of my kids' favorite people. So like if they come over to work on a project, it's like, well, entertain my kids for 30 minutes to 2 hours, and then we'll get to work on the project maybe. So, and like the router's right below their bedroom. So if you guys come over, it's like they're gonna hear you. Like there's no faking that you didn't come.
Right.
So we'll figure it out. We'll get it done. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to take pictures of it when it's done.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a big stressor for me. So it's just finding good opportunities to slip it in and
fair enough.
still make it valuable for you guys to learn from.
Yeah. Well, it's just because like you don't get a whole lot of those opportunities. You don't get a whole lot of I actually want to take the time to learn about the hobbies that you're interested in.
Right.
And so like hell, I'm willing to pay for it to stay there for a minute. So they get that opportunity to be able to experience that. And it really says something when like your partner is interested in those kind of things and wants to share those things. So I'm very much glad that you're willing to let it sit there for a little bit longer so that they can have that opportunity.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why we started the makerspace in general, right? It was to let people learn and help give them those experiences. And I haven't really been able to do that for the last couple of years. So
yeah, we've really been in a like just continually making tools with tools kind of phase.
Yeah, and yeah, the sharing hasn't really been able to happen because of either COVID or like just constant
fires
and like needing to produce and other commitments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the makerspace just turned into it went from being like kind of like a philanthropic venture where I just wanted to share ideas and energy with people to what's the next thing that I have to do for somebody else. And like, that was kind of where I left off with River City Labs, was just like this constant feeling of like, well, now I got to do this for this person. Now I got to do this for this person and go to this event, talk about River City Labs, and do this event to promote the space and try to foster a relationship with this company here so we can do something eventually. And it really took a toll.
Right.
And it kind of hurt my enjoyment of the sharing. And I'm finally getting back to a point where I care about that. And I'm not just like over it.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Good.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. No, because that's really what I am excited for with the guild, is just being able to like share all those tools with other people and get, because like so many of the people in the cosplay community, well, and I can talk about something cool. So many people in the cosplay community are very much like focused on one or two skill sets, and they'll either be like really good at sewing or really good at foam work. And like a lot of people, like we were talking about with Cass, don't really consider 3D printing as a source for them to be able to do cool stuff, or even as obtainable, because they think it's either going to be too difficult or it's going to be like just something that's not for them. And it's like 3D printing can be something you like. Yes, you can print like an entire blade or an entire gun from 3D printing, like for prop work, but like you can also use it to print like really small, cool embroidery bits to be able to accent the things that you're already making. Which is the cool thing of 3D printing, is you can just make whatever you want. We had this really cool thing,
keyboard panels.
Right. I totally forgot about this until I started saying this. We actually had a really cool thing happen this week where, and Aaron, you actually know them. The local sewing guild is actually our next door neighbor. And she came and like knocked on my door with like so much of like what I'm learning from all these artists is like none of them have personal space, and I'm totally okay with that.
Was it Janice?
No. I believe so, yes. She came and knocked on the door and just was like, hey, can I tell, like, I don't know who you are. I'd love to get to know you. And I was like, sure. And so I spent like an hour and a half talking to her about just all the kind of things that we're involved in and whatnot. And she was like super excited to be able to actually share like our communities, because she's like so much of the sewing community that she's involved with is so many older people, and they don't really have a younger crowd, and that's what they're really trying to reach toward, is how do we get that younger crowd. And she was like, you're perfect, like like if we can collaborate with you guys on stuff and do cross events and whatnot, like that's going to be where our young sewers are. I was like, absolutely, like that's a bunch of our people love to sew and do all that kind of stuff, and most of them are pretty young. Yeah. And so the fact that we're going to be able to like not only like share that, and then a lot of their older seamstresses are going to be able to see, hey, here's 3D printing and here's laser cutting and all of this other cool stuff that you can do at home as well. Like here's crickets and all that kind of stuff. Like it makes for a fun just environment of sharing different tooling sources for people to be able to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that was something else. I totally forgot about that, but that did happen.
Yeah, that's a lot of those societies are really looking for young people, because there's like this like 20-year gap where people just didn't join or didn't know they were existed or like didn't go find them. Like there's a photography society, or there was, that was looking for the same thing. There is all of the science societies in the area are like bleeding members because they're all dying because they're old and there's no young people to backfill them. So
it's almost like Gen X and millennials are too busy trying to survive.
I mean, when you got to work several jobs in order to be able to keep afloat, finding a hobby is kind of hard.
Right. I will say, I mean, we don't have hobbies anymore. We have hustles. Aaron said it earlier.
Right.
He took a hobby project and he's going to try and turn it into a side hustle.
Good Lord. I could talk forever about that feeling. I've been exploring that lately.
That's all Zoomers are, is how can I turn my hobby into a hustle?
It's terrible. It's a terrible mindset.
But it's what they have to do. It's like, how else are you expected to do?
Our whole thing on this podcast was, we're not going to tell you how to turn your hobby into a hustle, right?
Yeah.
And that's all we've done for the last a year and a half. Man, it's like COVID didn't even happen. Like this last year didn't even happen in my head. Like I'm still back in 2019 in my head. For the last couple of years, we've turned our hobbies into hustles, and it's been official, but
yes, I think that's the one thing though, is like we set very strict rules for how we were going to do that at the beginning. And the big ones were, we were never going to let it interfere with our personal lives.
Yeah.
And we were never going to make it our full time. Yeah. And so like we've made it so we're still enjoying it. Like it's not something where we're grueling when we get on. When we hit record, we want to be there. Yeah. We want to actually do this.
Yeah.
And the hustle that's coming out of it is something, honestly, at least I did it. I never expected it. I never expected us to be potentially getting sponsors and people wanting to collaborate with us on events and stuff and do all these cool things. I never thought that was going to happen. I thought this was going to be something that we just hang out, we record, we get to talk, we talk to the ether, and we have fun.
Yeah.
But like progressively more and more, we're getting weird offers that are awesome but totally wouldn't have expected. The one that I was mentioning at the beginning, fucking awesome. And never would have thought that we could have done something that cool. I think I said something about it the last time we were doing something with them, but like never thought that would be official. And that's what I'm really excited for. I keep trying not to say anything because I'm really fucking excited, man. I'm really excited.
Stop it.
Yeah, this whole topic has been something that's been eating at me for the past 2.5 or so weeks. The whole, you find, the fucking saying, like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's baloney. That's like grade A baloney. It's like, you find something you love, you do it. It's fun. And you're like, oh, I should try monetizing this. If I can make this a job, then I can quit my sucky day job and just, make shit for a living. Like, that sounds awesome. But then once you start, doing it, then you start, putting money into it, and like, then now you have to optimize stuff, and you have to do break-even analyses, and you have to get the word out there, and it sucks all the fun out of it every time. And it's like, now you can't enjoy anything. Every project has to be productive. Every project has to be a potential side gig. I can't make anything for fun.
I know you don't, Aaron, because you don't have Instagram, but do you follow Hacksmith on Instagram, Chris?
Yeah.
Did you see his story today?
No, I didn't yet.
It's very obvious that he is having a rough time.
I've seen that from recent stuff. Yeah, I'd kind of gotten that.
He posted a thing where he was working on part of a steel Mando helmet, and he hit a point where he's like showing updates as he goes, and he's just like, well, and now I have to stop because I can't go any farther without filming. And then the next one was, filming has killed making for me, because it turns everything into a process. And then the next thing he posted was, do you guys care if I do projects without filming the making part? And it was a poll, and it was like 70% towards yes, that people care if he did projects without filming them. And fuck that.
I get it. I love seeing the process of somebody making something, because it's such a rewarding progress. But
he should be able to make things without obligation to.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And personally, I don't think he should have made it a poll. Personally, I think if he wants to make something, he should fucking make it. And he should make it how he wants to make it. When you start doing stuff for the people, you lose your passion behind it, and it makes it a grueling task. And that's part of the problem. I've been kind of starting my own side hustle, because I've gotten asked so many times now to either help with broadcast support, help with people setting up for Twitch, help with people setting up for events and stuff like that. Like, it's been a really cool kind of side hustle that I've been just dabbling in, because it's not something that's a job for me. It's very much something that, like, I very much enjoy doing, is helping give others the spotlight to be able to put themselves out there. And when I talk to people about Twitch, because there's a good amount of people who come and talk to me about Twitch specifically, because I do it I've helped quite a few people set up to be able to stream on Twitch. The first thing I say is, if you want to do this, have to realize that you are not doing this for an audience. If you are doing this for an audience, you will fail and you will hate it.
Mm-hmm.
You will hate everything about this within 2 months. I guarantee it. I said, if your goal is to grow an audience and to make money, you will hate this. I will not. I don't even want to give you the resources to do it, because you will hate this and you will hate yourself so much. If you are doing this because you want to be a part of a community and you want to put yourself out there, to have fun with that community, then that is the reason to do it. Because if you're just going out there to have fun and just throwing yourself out there, and if you fail, that means nothing to you, then 100% go do it. But if you're trying to make this thing and you're going to try and optimize every part of it, everybody will see through that. Everybody will see through everything that you're trying to do, and you will hate it, and you will hate yourself by the end of it. And like that will lose all of that fun for you. Like that's just how it is. And so I get so frustrated when, because like I'm on TikTok. We've already discussed this a million times, but like, and I'm sure now that you're back on it, Aaron, you're also seeing this other side of TikTok where it's like, how do I make my rise. Right? how do I make this thing my side hustle? For some reason, I'm stuck in that TikTok and Stonk's TikTok because everything stonks right now. But
we like the stock.
Stonk's TikTok is the best right now. Not gonna lie, I love it. But no, like, just
buy GameStop.
Like, sorry, I'm gonna get political. Just a hair. I get it. No. I really do. I get why you want to turn everything into a side hustle, because you want to be able to just inch out ahead so that way you don't have to worry about money. And I am sorry that this system has failed you so much that you feel like you have to inch out just ahead so you have a little bit of security, so maybe you can find some happiness, because you think that little bit of money is just going to make you just a little bit more happier, and you're going to be able to actually retire someday, and you're going to be able to actually have freedom someday. But it's not going to happen. And I wish it was. I so wish that you would be able to find that happiness, that you would be able to find that security. But this system is so rigged against you that it's impossible. And I'm sorry. I really am.
Chris.
Damn, Chris,
dude. Calm down. We're here to make people feel better, not make them go kill themselves.
That's the thing, though. Like that's why we all have this urge. It's like we're all smart, technical people, and we feel like we don't have enough money. You know, like I would love to just make stuff for fun and just not have to worry about working. You know,
it's one of those things where it's like I'm even putting a good amount of weight in retirement, and I'm still having to think about, like, do I need to buy real estate so I can at least have another thing of income from somewhere? Like, how are we going to be okay when we both retire? And can I retire at a normal age? Like, am I going to need to work longer? Like, and I can't even imagine what it's like having kids in that mix.
The podcast is my retirement vehicle.
There it is. Yeah, I just don't even think about it. But like, so the thing that you said earlier, Aaron, like the stupid like work a day in your life thing, like I am the person that fits that, because like it's not the thing that I enjoy, it's the current obsession. Like, I'm gonna do that whether that makes me money or not. Or if I have a day job that isn't that, or not. Or like, I'm going to go follow that rabbit hole and figure out where that rabbit hole takes me. And currently, like, a lot of the paid work that I take on, I don't take on anything that's not interesting to me, or that isn't directly helping a company or a person that I care about. I get a lot of like work that I'm just like, no. And so like, I don't know. I think even if I was in a position where I was like making, let's pull a number out of my ass, $500,000 a year. Like I don't have to hustle. There's no worry about it. Money is not a concern anymore. It's just there. I think I'd still do it. I think I'd still be doing the things that I'm doing because I don't turn off.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I don't either. I just don't. I wouldn't be doing what I do professionally.
Right.
I'd be doing what I do recreationally, and I'd be doing it all day, every day.
Yeah. I just keep ending up in jobs that I would do for free. if money wasn't a problem, right?
Well, and that's it. Yeah. No, it's I get that. I really do. Cause like I think all of us have like very work mindsets where it's if you're not working, there's if your brain is not engaged with something, you start to wander. And even if you're in a situation where you're totally relaxed, like I don't see either one of you being able to go on a vacation for like more than like 5 days. Like it yeah, that's that you don't relax. You want your mind to be engaged with something like that.
Last time I went on a vacation that was long, we went to the Outer Banks for like a week and a half. And 4 days in, I was doing research on drones because I was just bored out of my mind. And I was just like, and this is where like when like drones were just starting to be a thing, and like people were like, I wonder if we could put four rotors on a helicopter. And I was like looking up like control algorithms and stuff, and I was bored. And there was an ocean within 100 feet of me. But yeah, I need that constant stimulation or I'm going to go fall off of a cliff somewhere. Or I'm going to go build a cabin in the woods. Like if you took me to a woods and you were like, there's no electricity, I'd be like, you got an axe? I'm going to go build something. I can't. Can I have a shovel to dig a hole?
Can we like just go film like Makers on Taps tries to go make shelters for a night?
Just Michael Scott in the woods.
No, damn. You got woods right behind you, man. I feel like that would be a fun video.
It would be fun. It would be fun. Maybe that's the one where we hire a film crew.
Right.
Yeah. Boy, we took a tangent. Makers on Tap.
No, sorry.
Tangent cast.
Let me say this. I know I just got really dark there, and I know that I probably stepped on some toes. Let me say this. I love each and every one of you, and you are more than capable of proving me wrong. You absolutely are. And I encourage you to. Currently where I'm coming from is somebody who has been extremely jaded and watched a lot of stuff over the last couple weeks, and even had some friends recently hit failure. And so I feel like this entire system is rigged against everybody. And it put me in a dark place. But again, fucking prove me wrong. I encourage you to. I encourage you to beat this system and to rise above and to do all those amazing things. Make what you love your passion, and do those awesome things.
If any of you are like me, think of it like this. Chris just told you you can't do it. Fuck him. Oh man, yeah. Somebody to like bring up the anti people. Somebody on Twitter or on Hannah Makes, which if you don't follow her on the YouTubes, you really should. She makes some really great stuff. But somebody in her YouTube comments, mind you, this is a brilliant woman that makes amazing things. Their incredibly constructive YouTube comment was, maybe you should try to be a little less fake and wear less fake makeup in your videos.
Oh, fuck off.
Or something along those lines. Just something like, just, wow. That's what you got out of this, huh? And it's just like, wow. Maybe in your next video, you should just be full drag makeup. Like, that's what you should do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fuck that guy.
That's...
It's like when the people told us not to make bottle openers. I'm going to finally go grind those tomorrow, by the way. And then we can talk about them more. I'm Sorry about that. I've had a lot on my plate.
I mean, we all have, man. We have.
I've been. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I got the robot working this week.
Yay!
Yeah, I saw it moving around on Instagram.
Well, it was you haven't seen the thing that I did with it. So I'm gonna do a little teaser video in the morning. I've been like waiting every night to do it, and I've put it off. But by the time this comes out, the video will be out, so I can actually get that done. But I programmed it to. I hooked up a pneumatic gripper on it, so it's got hands now. It's got 2 hands, and I programmed it to go get a little shot glass. Give me a little glass tappy tap. So we're cheers in our future of successful videos. I've got all kinds of ideas of robot fails that we can do. And I realized the other day that it would be really easy to run a soundboard through the robot. So
all right.
Yeah. Have either of you read the Expeditionary Force series?
You've told me to do it several times.
Okay.
And I am in the middle of like 3 other series right now.
That's dumb.
I only just started reading books.
I don't read. I just listen to books, so it's fine. I don't do my books in dead tree form anymore because I don't have time for that shit. Anyway, it's all about a arrogant AI named Skippy and his good friend Joe. So that's the robot's name, and Skippy's got a lot of really good sound bites. So I'm working on figuring out a Skippy soundboard for it. So as it goes through, can play things like fucking dirty monkeys and things like that. It'll be good.
I still need to send you like a best of claptrap sounds, so that way you can mess with those as well.
Yeah, you do. I really need to play Borderlands. That's really what I need to do.
You really do.
I need to take like a week off work and play video games and program robots.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
See, that's my kind of vacation. Like a week off work, and I get to play video games and do the other work that I actually want to do.
Like being able to work on having the free time to be able to work on the projects you want is a vacation. That's fair.
Please explain that to my partner. Because the last vacation we took, I was told that I wasn't allowed to work on projects, and like that sounds more stressful than not taking a vacation.
That's just delaying not only my work but also my hobbies.
Yes. This is just more stress that you're doing to me. You get that, right?
Oh man.
Yeah, so the robot is functional. I learned that motors should never be on GFCI breakers. That was news to me. Apparently, GFCI breakers, for those that don't know, wear out. After a little while, if you trip them enough times, they start to become more and more sensitive and trip more and more easily.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
See, so you were the lucky 10,000 for that day?
Yeah. I forgot all about that. Yes.
I love it. I think of it every time someone like mentions a gap in knowledge that they figured out. I'm like,
Yeah. So, early in my beta testing phase, I got to report issues of breakers tripping in the robot and then admit that it was my problem. Which is always my favorite part of beta testing, right?
It's the worst part of programming in general.
Yeah.
That probably is, unless it already was in the documentation, that is something that should probably be in the documentation.
So it is in the documentation for the Tormach mills. I did find that later. It's not in the documentation for the robot. The robot just really doesn't draw that much amperage, but it was like an inrush thing where as soon as I enabled the motors, it popped the GFCI every time, but only after a little while. Like after the video that I posted on Instagram of the robot moving, like that was all on the GFCI breaker. And then the next night was when all of the problems started. So, had a good friend that's an electrician come over. We fixed things, checked grounds, everything works good now. So yeah, so that was cool. And then the other thing that I have going is I'm out of excuses to not machine parts on the mill, which is cool. I have officially checked all the things that I was making excuses to not finally cut things on it with. So,
I mean, that's got to be exciting.
Yeah, it is. The first time you cut something on a new machine is always like terrifying, and now it's been sitting there for a month, so it like the anxiety has built up about it. And I had the breaker things, so like, yeah,
has it been a month already?
It has been.
Almost. Oh, God.
It was like the first week of January that you guys helped me move it. So
wow,
dude, January always feels like 3 months in one.
What is happening?
Like,
yeah, I do want to rearrange the shop. Soon, I'd love to do a whole discussion on small shop organization. Because like redoing my shop and then combining all of that with the makerspace stuff that I've done over the years, I'm realizing more and more how crazy important it is to think about flow in a small shop. We always talk about it in like large factory settings because it's so expensive to move machinery around in a factory. So you want to make sure you get it right the first time.
Right.
Like in a small shop where you're space constrained, you're resource limited, and you often don't have the resources to move machinery a second time. Or like, in my case, I was space constrained, power constrained, and I can't move machines a second time. So like there was lots of that building up. But then also, I know how I use my shop very well. And I also have all this industrial engineering knowledge. I got it wrong so many times. It's still wrong. Like I need to move things again. So like this has been such a crazy learning experience for me that like if you guys are up for it, I'd love to just like sit down and break it down over a whole episode.
That sounds like something we should do in the shop.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. You guys can help me move things, and then we can talk about it.
Wait a minute.
I mean, as long as there is beer, that's fine. It's
fine. It's only two things, and they're the easiest things to move. It's the bench that the robot's on, and the bench that the mini lathe is on. Those two need to change positions. And then I think I'm done. But like, the robot's just real close to the ceiling where it's at right now.
I did notice that.
I don't want him punching a hole in my HVAC system.
Just taking a wild turn and popping through the ceiling or popping through the flooring.
Yeah. One of the current limitations of the robot control system is I can't limit out axes yet. It's like it's a future plan, and that's like something that like day one with an industrial robot, the first thing you do is like, it gets too close to the fence here, so I limit out that joint to X number of degrees, and I can't lift up over these degrees and that joint. And you just go through and you set all that stuff, and the robot just like never goes past it. I can't do that with this guy yet. The software is not there. It will be, but it's not yet. So yeah.
Fair enough.
But I did get the post processor for Fusion 360 to work today. So, and I think I modified it properly to maybe drive an additive path.
Ooh.
Code output looks okay. The next step is I'm working on getting my hands on a clay extruder because I don't feel like trying to drive plastic and like heaters and stuff. I think we could, and I have a super volcano. That would be fun to try to make that work with, but I'm not sure I want to mess with that yet. Versus like the clay extruder, you just kind of like turn it on with a potentiometer when the robot starts moving, and then it like starts crapping out clay. And we have a kiln at the makerspace.
Yep.
I don't know if it works. Have we ever turned it on?
Nope.
All right. That's fine.
I believe it has turned on, but I don't think anybody's used it for an extended period of time.
Some say it's still on to this day.
I mean, if it was, our electric bill would be through the roof.
I mean, we were told it worked when we got it, so that'd be cool. I don't know. I'm not going to get my hopes up on stuff. The robot works, and that's as far as I've gotten with it. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
exciting stuff. More to come.
Oh, all right. Well,
that's Joe's announcement for.
we had the whole like shitty laptop discussion we were going to talk about. We didn't even touch on.
I was going to talk about like the downfall of Alienware, at least from my opinion.
I mean, we're 55 minutes into this. Nobody's listening now. This is a perfect time.
Nobody's listening now. You know what? Fuck Dell for taking over Alienware.
but okay. So, all right. So this is what I did a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, I bought 2 laptops because I wasn't sure what I wanted. And it was an Alienware N15 R3 and a Precision 7550, which is like their 15-inch top-end workstation laptop. And if you didn't know, the Dell Outlet has good deals and 30-day no questions asked returns. Mm-hmm. So if you got room on your credit card, it's worth trying out a couple of computers. So I got them last Friday, put them through their paces this week. They're basically identical hardware. There's a i7, the 5 gigahertz 8 core, and in the Alienware with 32 gigs of RAM and a big SSD. I think it was a 512 and a 2070 RTX. And then the Precision is a Xenon 6 core. It's like 5 gigahertz, I think. 32 gigs of RAM, another terabyte, and an RTX 4000 video card. Okay, so basically identical hardware. The RTX 4000 is the Quattro version of somewhere in between a 2070 and a 2080. It's an 8 gig VRAM card. I got them at the same time. I opened them up at the same time. I hit the power buttons at the same time. I really wanted this to be like a good comparison. And they immediately out of the box, I was like, all right, I'm probably keeping the Precision because it just feels like it's made better. Yeah. And they're within about $300 of each other cost wise. Okay. So the Precision was 23 and I think the Alienware was like 18 or 1900. So they're very close cost wise. The Precision was up and ready. All the drivers were updated. Windows was updated in about an hour. The Alienware took until the next morning. And I started this at noon because of constant BIOS crashes. The Dell Support Assist, which is like a pretty reliable tool usually when I first bring in computers up, because I've been doing this, bringing workstations up at work for the last 6 months. Like, new box, bring it all up. And I've been using Support Assist and it just worked. Same for the Precision 7550. And the Alienware one, Support Assist was just like constantly crashing. I ended up having to download all the drivers individually and load them individually. the BIOS update crashed twice on me. And then it was just kind of buggy and it felt cheap.
Yeah.
The keyboard was nice. The palm rest was too small. Like your hands hang off the front of it, which is just stupid. It's a 15-inch laptop. Like, give me some
there
extra.
should be plenty of room.
And the touchpad sucked, but the 300 hertz screen was amazing.
Yeah,
I'd kill for that screen on anything. But then once I got them running, they were basically the same performance wise. I ran them both with VR. I had to buy a mini DisplayPort to DisplayPort converter to run my Oculus Rift S, and they both ran off of that fine. The Alienware was loud. Like, the fans were just insanely loud. And the thing ran hot. Like, I remember typing, just using Hangouts. Hangouts was the only thing open, talking to one of our friends and taking notes on a website. Okay. There were two things open. There was Chrome and Hangouts open.
Wow, so there was a problem.
And I was in my garage, and it was cold. And I remember vividly thinking, boy, this keyboard is so nice to put my hands on because it's so warm.
That's when the steam starts rising from it.
Yes. Laptop's not charging. I'm running off of battery power, and I'm simply updating a document in Chrome and talking on Hangouts. And it's warm to the touch to the point where my hands feel nice to put on it. Like, it's just like, all right, this laptop's probably going back. And the other thing that killed me was the RAM is soldered on it. And like, when you're running thermals that hot, you're pushing everything to the limits, because Alienware does that. Like, everything comes out of it clocked high. They give you overclocking tools, and they run their thermals hot as hell because they want it fast, right? And then you solder high failure rate components. No, not in a $2,000 laptop. I would accept that from a $900 gaming laptop.
Right.
But not at double the price.
But that's the thing. Ever since Dell bought Alienware, it's always been like that. They've always gone downhill. Alienware used to be the brand. It used to be the gamer brand. And you know what happened? Dell bought them out, and then Asus bought AOG, and they've been best ever since. Like, that's just because, like, every one of their components, like you said, you typed it in there, it felt plasticky. It didn't have like a structure. It didn't feel like you could just grip it. Like, that's not good. And that's been the problem with all of this Alienware crap ever since Dell bought them.
I don't understand, because the XPS series is so good.
But that's what I think it is.
Oh, good.
There's a part of me. This is the conspiracy part of me. 100%. I think that Dell can actually make good stuff, and Dell does make good stuff. And they took all of those good components that Alienware was working in and put it in their own stuff. And now all the crappy stuff is in Alienware. Because
there were definitely high points to the Alienware. Like, that laptop was thin and beautiful. It looked good. Like, even the Ricer Boy aesthetic, I got it in the dark gray. It was toned down enough that it was like, oh, all right, this was built for me, who in the late 90s drove a car with underlights and a big stereo, but I'm now 36 and have to go to business meetings potentially with this laptop.
Yeah.
It was built beautifully. The keyboard was nice, but it, like, the shortcomings were just unacceptable for a laptop of that expense. When I had the Precision sitting next to it, which was a little bit thicker, but it has so much more future proofness to it, and it's all built out of like carbon fiber and nicely machined aluminum, and it's beautiful. Like, Aaron, you have the same laptop. Did you take it out of the box and you were just like raining your hands over it and you're like, ooh, this is
It
nice.
feels nice. Like, it feels like a solid machine.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built for commercial applications, like for offices and businesses and whatnot. And you can feel it. Like, it's got some heft to it. It's a thick workstation, but that's because it's meant to be able to have your company's service desk do easy, component swaps, and that's why I bought it. I mean, they have great repair documentation for it. But the unit itself is just great. It feels good, works well. The only real negative thing I have is that the fans are when they go full blast, it's pretty loud.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, you're cool in a lot of shit. My negative is they got rid of the stupid little nubbin, the mouse nubbin.
Yeah.
And I'm real mad about that because the previous one had it and it worked great. And I use that, but I'll accept it.
I never used that, so I guess I don't miss it. I will say I feel like the keyboard is a little cramped.
They made the keyboard a little smaller.
They've got I don't know if they did in the previous ones, but they've got the full, the 10 keys on the right hand side.
Yeah, I was going to say
I'd rather do 10 keyless and have longer key travel. It'd be a bit more comfy that way, I think. But works fine. I've been coding on it since a month and a half now since I got it, and I like it. It works well. I bought this to be like my next laptop for the next 5-6 years. So
yeah,
went big.
Yeah, when I got it, I was planning on it just being a laptop, but now that I have it, it's so much faster than my desktop. I'm probably going to get rid of my desktop and maybe get an eGPU enclosure for it.
Yes.
Or maybe sell my 2080 while it's still worth money.
I will 100% buy your 2080 from you right now. I will put cash down. I cannot get a fucking graphics card. I will pay to take that thing. I will come get that thing out of there and then get a table out of your house if you will let me buy that 2080.
You sell that graphics card, you can go buy some GameStop stocks.
Not right now. I can maybe get one. I caught it too late. And not if we're buying it through Robinhood. That's
fuck.
Well, I mean, if you're only buying one, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm stoked about the 7550. I already got a second hard drive for it. I'm seriously debating on getting 32 more gigs of RAM for it while I'm still excited about it.
I am a big fan of the dock. If you don't have a dock yet for it.
I have the WTB19 dock. So one thing I learned about that dock, Dell introduced with the 7000 series the ability to switch the graphics card pass through in the BIOS. So the way it comes stock, the Thunderbolt ports on the side go through the integrated graphics and then pass through to the GPU, but you can change in BIOS to go straight to the GPU. And you have to do that to be able to run VR through the docking station.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was initially like disappointed because I was like, that's the only way I have a full display port. I really wanted to play VR on this today, and then did a little bit of Googling, and somebody had found that. And if you right click on the desktop and you go into the NVIDIA Control Center and check the physics processor, you can see where the graphics card porting is done at. And if it's not running to it, you can change that in the BIOS. And it doesn't seem to affect the battery life.
Neat.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It is super neat. It does affect how good graphics run. So I ended up doing the same thing on my work laptop, and the rendering in the simulation software I read went from being like just utter crap to like, wow, hi.
Fair enough.
Beautiful. So that was cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Fair enough.
Well,
solid episode.
Hell yeah.
Maybe. It went all over the place.
It did.
We're going to get comments.
I'm sure. I love you guys.
I hope
really
we get
do.
comments. That means people are here. You guys got anything else?
I find our tangents to be genuine and authentic.
And endearing. Aaron, I swear to God, I just saw the door behind you opening and I got like real freaked out. It didn't. It didn't. I'm not on mushrooms, I promise. I think maybe it was your camera focusing. I don't know.
It is unlatched, so it's possible. I have noticed some cold airflow coming out of it. There's like a hole in the ceiling in there in that closet. So it could just be like a draft.
It's like fluttering.
But dude, if I saw, because like I see myself in the corner, yeah, like, I would freak the fuck out if I saw that door open.
Nah,
it's a closet.
Nah, I would have been gone. You would have seen me running up those stairs. I don't want nothing to do with that.
Oh man. All right. Keep making stuff, guys.
This is the end of the podcast.